The Atlantic Ocean. February 21st, 1944, 0347 hours. Commander Frederick John Walker stands on the bridge of HMS Starling, watching 27 merchant ships cut through black water. Somewhere beneath them, 4 German U-boats are closing in. His radar operator calls out, "Contact bearing 270, then another, then 3 more. Walker makes a decision that violates direct orders from Western Approach's command. Instead of staying beside the convoy, like every other escort commander in the Royal Navy, he turns his ship away from the merchants. He's charging directly at the wolf pack. His crew thinks he's lost his mind. The convoy commodore fires an angry signal lamp, demanding he return to station. Walker ignores it. He's pushing Starling to flank speed, racing toward the submarines while leaving the convoy behind with minimal protection. The numbers tell you why this moment matters. By February 1944, German U-boats have sent 2,828 Allied merchant ships to the bottom of the Atlantic. That's 14 million tons of cargo. 36,000 merchant sailors are dead. The standard escort doctrine, approved by every admiral in the Royal Navy, mandates that escorts must never leave the convoy's side. Stay close. Protect the merchants. Don't chase contacts. This doctrine is failing catastrophically. In the previous month alone, U-boats sank 41 merchant ships while losing only 6 submarines. The mathematics are brutal. At this exchange rate, Britain will starve before Germany runs out of U-boats. What Walker doesn't know as he races toward those submarines is that Admiral Karl Dönitz is watching this convoy from U-boat headquarters in Berlin. Dönitz has positioned not 4, but 7 U-boats in a carefully coordinated ambush pattern. The German admiral expects to sink at least 12 ships tonight. He's done the calculations. With Allied escorts tied to convoy perimeter defense, his wolf pack should get multiple torpedo spreads off before the escorts can react. Walker is about to prove that everything the Royal Navy believes about submarine warfare is wrong. The tactics he's using tonight, the ones his superiors banned 6 months ago, will become the blueprint that turns the Battle of the Atlantic. But first, he has to survive the next 18 minutes. Rewind to March 1943. The Atlantic is a graveyard. In this single month, German U-boats sank 108 Allied ships. 627,377 tons of desperately needed supplies. Oil tankers, grain carriers, ammunition ships, all torpedoed. The loss rate is unsustainable. At current casualty figures, Britain has perhaps 7 months of food reserves remaining. Western Approach's command in Liverpool has a doctrine they believe will solve this crisis. The official tactical manual states, "The primary duty of the escort is to ensure the safe and timely arrival of the convoy. Hunting operations against detected U-boats must be subordinated to this principle. Escorts will maintain station within 2,000 yards of the convoy perimeter." The logic seems sound. Keep destroyers and corvettes wrapped tightly around the merchant ships. Create a defensive screen. When a U-boat is detected, one escort peels off to drop depth charges while the others maintain the protective barrier. Quick attack, then immediately return to convoy station. Don't get drawn away. Don't leave gaps. Admiral Max Horton, Commander-in-Chief of Western Approach's Command, believes this doctrine represents centuries of naval wisdom. Every tactical theorist at the Admiralty supports it. The Americans use the same approach. The Canadians follow identical procedures. The doctrine is killing Allied sailors by the thousands. Here's why it fails. German U-boats don't hunt alone. Admiral Dönitz perfected wolfpack tactics that exploit the Escort doctrine's fundamental weakness. His submarines operate in groups of 8 to 15 boats. They track a convoy for days, transmitting position reports. When enough U-boats have assembled, they attack simultaneously from multiple directions. The British escorts respond exactly as doctrine demands. When hydrophones detect a submarine bearing 045, one escort charges toward it. Another contact appears at 180. A second escort peels off. A third submarine pings active sonar from 270. A third escort races toward it. The convoy is now defended by a skeleton force, while escorts chase contacts. This is the moment Dönitz has engineered. The real attack comes from the undefended quadrant. Torpedoes streak toward defenseless merchants. 4 ships explode in the span of 6 minutes. By the time the escorts return to station, having failed to kill any submarines, the U-boats have submerged and vanished. The April 1943 statistics are even worse. U-boats sink 56 ships in the first 2 weeks. Merchant sailors are drowning faster than new ships can be built. Churchill writes in his diary, "The only thing that ever really frightened me during the war was the U-boat peril." The Admiralty convenes emergency conferences. Experts propose solutions. More escorts per convoy, better radar, improved depth charges, air cover. All worthy improvements. None address the fundamental tactical problem. The doctrine assumes that U-boats are lone hunters that escorts should chase away. This assumption is obsolete. Modern U-boats hunt in packs. They want escorts to chase them. Every escort pursuing a contact is an escort that's not protecting the convoy. Western Approach's command refuses to acknowledge this reality. The official tactical manual remains unchanged. Any commander who deviates from prescribed doctrine faces court-martial for abandoning station and endangering the convoy. The stakes couldn't be higher. Britain imports 68 million tons of supplies annually. If U-boats maintain current sinking rates for 6 more months, the government will be forced to negotiate peace terms. The invasion of Europe becomes impossible without secure Atlantic supply lines. Everything depends on cracking the U-boat problem. The Royal Navy's best tactical minds are failing. The solution will come from a twice-rejected officer whom the Admiralty nearly cashiered for insubordination. Captain Frederick John Walker is everything the Royal Navy establishment distrusts. Born in Plymouth in 1896, Walker lacks the aristocratic pedigree that dominates flag ranks. No family estates, no political connections. His father was a naval captain, but not from an influential family. Walker entered the Royal Naval College at Osborne in 1909 as a middle-class scholarship student. The wealthy cadets never let him forget it. His career reflects his outsider status. 24 years in the service, and Walker has never commanded a capital ship. He spent his entire career in destroyers and escorts, the unglamorous vessels assigned to officers the Admiralty doesn't earmark for advancement. While his Dartmouth classmates command battleships and cruisers, Walker captains sloops in backwater postings. In 1938, Walker's career nearly ends. As commander of HMS Shikari, he contradicts a direct order from his squadron leader during exercises. Walker believes the order is tactically unsound. he executes a different maneuver. His decision proves correct. His ship sinks 3 enemy vessels in the wargame scenario. His reward is a formal reprimand and removal from Sea Command. The Royal Navy doesn't reward maverick thinking. When war begins in September 1939, Walker is assigned to staff duty at the Anti-Submarine Warfare Division in Liverpool, not commanding ships, pushing papers. For a 43-year-old captain, this is career death. He watches younger officers receive ship commands while he writes reports nobody reads. Walker does something unexpected with this exile. He studies every U-boat encounter report from 1939 to 1941. Hundreds of engagements, thousands of data points. He plots attack patterns, analyzes torpedo solutions, calculates U-boat diving times and underwater speeds. He builds a complete picture of how submarines hunt convoys. His insight comes during a sleepless night in March 1941. Walker is reviewing reports from convoy HX-112, which lost 5 ships to U-boats despite heavy escort presence. The pattern becomes clear. Every escort that chased a U-boat contact was an escort that wasn't protecting merchants. The submarines didn't fear the escorts, they were using them. Walker realizes the doctrine is backwards. Escorts shouldn't react to U-boat positions. They should hunt proactively. Instead of waiting for submarines to attack, escorts should sweep aggressively ahead of and around the convoy, forcing U-boats to stay deep and blind. Any U-boat that approaches the convoy should face multiple escorts attacking simultaneously from different bearings. He writes a tactical paper proposing aggressive close escort doctrine. The concept is revolutionary. Designate hunter groups that operate independently from the convoy, searching actively for U-boats rather than reacting defensively. Don't guard the merchants. Hunt the hunters. The Admiralty's Anti-Submarine Warfare Committee reviews his proposal in April 1941. Their response is brutal. The paper is rejected as tactically unsound and contrary to established doctrine. One admiral writes in the margin, "Dangerous fantasy from an officer whose judgment cannot be trusted." Walker's career should end here. What he doesn't know is that one person read his paper with interest. Captain Gilbert Roberts, who's establishing a tactical training facility in Liverpool. Western Approaches Tactical Unit, Liverpool, September 1941. Captain Gilbert Roberts is running the most unusual warfare laboratory in the Royal Navy. In a converted basement beneath Derby House, Roberts has created a massive plotting floor where naval officers play out convoy battles in real time. Officers play escort commanders. WRNS ratings play U-boat captains. Every engagement is analyzed, timed, measured. Roberts invites Walker to observe. What Walker sees transforms his thinking. The plotting floor proves his theory. In simulation after simulation, conventional doctrine fails. Escorts staying close to convoys respond too slowly to wolfpack attacks. By the time they reach submarine contact positions, the U-boats have fired torpedoes and dived deep. The merchants burn. But when Roberts' team tests Walker's aggressive hunting concept, the mathematics shift. Escorts sweeping 5 miles ahead of the convoy detect U-boats before they reach attack positions. Multiple escorts converging from different bearings prevent submarines from achieving firing solutions. U-boats, forced to stay deep and defensive, can't coordinate wolf-pack tactics. Walker and Roberts spend 6 weeks refining the concept. They develop specific tactical procedures. The creeping attack, where one ship maintains sonar contact while another makes a silent approach for depth charge attack. The plaster attack, using multiple ships dropping coordinated depth charge patterns. The step-aside maneuver, where escorts fake withdrawal to lure submarines near the surface. In October 1941, they present their findings to Admiral Percy Noble, Commander-in-Chief of Western Approaches Command. The demonstration is compelling. The statistics are irrefutable. Noble is impressed. Then the Admiralty's Director of Anti-Submarine Warfare reviews the proposal. His response comes in a terse memo. This tactical concept violates fundamental principles of convoy defense. Escorts operating independently from convoys create unacceptable vulnerability. Any commander implementing these procedures without explicit authorization will face charges of abandoning station. Proposal rejected. The memo continues with a phrase that becomes infamous. Captain Walker's suggestions demonstrate why he is unsuited for operational command. Such tactics are not merely incorrect, they are illegal under Admiralty regulations governing convoy escort duties. Roberts is furious. Walker is unsurprised. The Royal Navy doesn't reward innovation from captains without pedigree. But Admiral Noble has seen something in the tactical demonstrations. In December 1941, he gives Walker command of HMS Stork and the 36th Escort Group. The order comes with private instructions. You have freedom to experiment within reasonable bounds. Show me what aggressive escort can achieve. Walker faces a problem. His ideas work in simulation. The Admiralty has declared them illegal in practice. If his tactics fail in combat, he'll be court-martialed. If they succeed, he'll still be court-martialed for violating doctrine. He decides that dead U-boats are better evidence than reports. In December 1941, Walker takes his escort group to sea. He's about to test his theories with real submarines and real torpedoes. The Admiralty doesn't know it yet, but the Battle of the Atlantic is about to change. Convoy HG-76, Gibraltar to Liverpool, December 17, 1941. Walker's first command convoy faces 9 U-boats. His 36th Escort Group includes HMS Stork, his flagship, 4 corvettes and 3 destroyers. 8 escorts against 9 submarines. The mathematics are unfavorable. Standard doctrine would position escorts in a defensive ring around the 32 merchant ships. Walker ignores standard doctrine. He deploys his escorts in aggressive hunting patterns 5 to 8 miles ahead of the convoy. When the first U-boat contact appears on December 17th, Walker doesn't send one escort to investigate. He sends 4 ships converging from different bearings in a coordinated attack pattern. The submarine U-574 finds itself trapped by converging escorts. Unable to maneuver, the U-boat is destroyed by depth charges from HMS Stork and corvette Samphire. Over the next 5 days, Walker's group engages the Wolfpack continuously. Using his creeping attack tactics, they sink U-567 on December 19th, U-131 on December 21st. By the time HG-76 reaches Liverpool on December 23rd, Walker has sunk 4 U-boats and damaged 3 others without losing a single merchant ship. This should be celebrated as a revolutionary victory. Instead, Walker is summoned to Derby House for immediate disciplinary proceedings. The confrontation occurs on December 28, 1941. Walker enters a conference room filled with Admiralty brass. Admiral Sir Percy Noble presides. The Director of Anti-Submarine Warfare, Captain Howard Johnston, is present specifically to pursue charges against Walker. Howard Johnston opens with accusations. Commander Walker, you repeatedly abandoned convoy station during Operation HG-76. On December 17th, you positioned HMS Stork 8 miles ahead of the convoy, leaving merchants vulnerable. Your escorts operated independently, violating doctrine requiring coordinated convoy defense. You engaged in prolonged hunting operations against submarine contacts, contrary to orders mandating immediate return to station. Walker responds quietly. We sank 4 U-boats and delivered every merchant safely to port, sir. That is irrelevant, Howard Johnston's voice rises. You violated explicit tactical doctrine. Your unauthorized hunting operations endangered. We sank 4 U-boats. You created defensive gaps that enemy submarines could have exploited. They didn't exploit them because they were running from my escorts or dying under depth charges. The room erupts. Multiple staff officers speak simultaneously. One captain pounds the table. This is precisely the cowboy attitude that keeps you from flag rank, Walker. Another shouts, You're recommending we abandon centuries of naval defensive doctrine based on one lucky convoy? Admiral Noble raises his hand. Silence. Noble asks the critical question. Commander Walker, if we adopt your tactics fleet-wide, what casualty reduction do you project? Walker has prepared for this. Sir, conventional doctrine achieves an average exchange ratio of 12 merchant ships lost per U-boat killed. My tactics in HG-76 achieved 0 merchants lost per 4 U-boats killed. If we maintain similar ratios across all Atlantic convoys, I estimate we could reduce monthly merchant losses from approximately 100 ships to fewer than 20 within 6 months. Howard Johnston interrupts. This is fantasy mathematics. One successful convoy proves nothing. Commander Walker's approach is fundamentally, I'm implementing it, Noble says flatly. The room goes silent. Noble continues. Commander Walker, you will retain command of 36th Escort Group. You will train other escort commanders in your tactics. Captain Roberts will incorporate your procedures into Western Approach's tactical unit curriculum. We begin immediate operational testing. Howard Johnston tries one final objection. Admiral, the Admiralty's Tactical Board has explicitly rejected. The Admiralty's Tactical Board isn't drowning in merchant sailors. I am Commander-in-Chief of Western Approach's Command. This is my operational theater. Commander Walker's tactics are now doctrine for all escorts under my authority. Noble dismisses the meeting. As officers file out, he calls Walker back. I'm risking both our careers on this, Noble says. If your tactics fail, the Admiralty will relieve me and court-martial you. I need results, not luck. Results. Walker nods. You'll have them, sir. Want to see how Walker's illegal tactics changed naval warfare forever? Subscribe and hit the bell. The numbers get absolutely crazy. Plus, we've got 20 more incredible military history stories coming this month. Over the next 6 months, Walker proves his case with mathematics written in sunk U-boats. January to June, 1942. The testing period. Western Approaches Command implements Walker's aggressive hunting doctrine across 12 escort groups. The Admiralty watches skeptically, waiting for the catastrophic failure they've predicted. Instead, the numbers begin shifting. January 1942. Escorts using conventional doctrine lose 31 merchant ships while sinking 2 U-boats. Escorts using Walker's aggressive tactics lose 8 merchant ships while sinking 7 U-boats. February 1942. The gap widens. Conventional escorts lose 41 merchants, kill 3 U-boats. Walker-trained groups lose 12 merchants, kill 11 U-boats. By March 1942, Admiral Noble has the statistical evidence he needs. U-boats encountering aggressive hunting escorts are spending 70% of their patrol time submerged and evading rather than hunting merchants. The Wolfpack coordination that devastated convoys in 1941 is breaking down. U-boat commanders are reporting to Admiral Dunitz that they cannot maintain contact with convoys because aggressive escorts are forcing them deep before they achieve attack positions. The Admiralty remains unconvinced. In April 1942, they send an evaluation team to observe Walker's 36th Escort Group in action. They want to prove that his success is luck, not tactics. Convoy ONS-5, April 28, 1942. The Admiralty's observers board HMS Starling. Walker transferred his flag to this new Black Swan-class sloop in January 1942. They're about to witness aggressive escort doctrine under worst-case conditions. ONS-5 consists of 43 merchant ships, escorted by 13 vessels, including Walker's 36th Escort Group. German B-Dienst intelligence has decoded the convoy's route. Admiral Dunitz assembles 41 U-boats, the largest Wolfpack concentration of the entire war, to annihilate this convoy. The Germans expect to sink at least 30 ships. On April 28th, the Wolfpack makes contact south of Iceland. Walker's escorts immediately detect multiple submarines attempting to shadow the convoy. Instead of waiting defensively, Walker deploys hunting groups in aggressive sweeps. The battle lasts 6 days. The Admiralty observers watch Walker orchestrate what they later describe as a master class in offensive anti-submarine warfare. His escorts don't react to U-boat positions, they anticipate them. Coordinated hunting groups force submarines to stay deep and blind. When U-boats attempt to surface for attack positions, they encounter escorts converging from multiple bearings. The Starling's action log from May 1st records one engagement. 02:14 hours. ASDIC contact bearing 347, range 2,100 yards. Directed Wild Goose and Woodpecker to converge from flanks. 0219, target diving. Initiated creeping attack. Starling maintaining sonar contact from 1,200 yards, while Wild Goose approaches silent from 045. 0227, Wild Goose pattern of 10 depth charges, set 150 and 350 feet. 0231, massive underwater explosion. Debris field confirms kill. U-638. The statistics from ONS-5 shock the Admiralty observers. Of 41 U-boats deployed, Walker's tactics result in 13 kills with 6 more damaged. The convoy loses 12 ships, a 28% loss rate versus the 70% loss rate Dunitz expected. More significantly, the U-boats break off the attack after 4 days. Wolfpack doctrine depends on sustained pursuit. Aggressive escorts make sustained pursuit impossible. The German perspective reveals why Walker's tactics work. Korvettenkapitän Peter Gerlach, commander of U-223, writes in his war diary after encountering Walker's escorts, "These British captains fight differently now. They don't wait for us to attack. They hunt us constantly. We spend entire days deep, blind, unable to coordinate. By the time we surface to charge batteries and update position, destroyers appear from nowhere. This is not defense. This is warfare." Admiral Donitz's reaction is even more telling. On May 24, 1943, he withdraws all U-boats from the North Atlantic for tactical reassessment. The withdrawal order states, "Enemy escort tactics have fundamentally changed. Our Wolfpack doctrine is no longer effective against aggressive hunting groups. We cannot maintain sufficient boats on station when escorts force continuous deep submersion." This is the turning point. The Battle of the Atlantic pivots on Walker's tactics. But the human cost of validating his approach is measured in his own crew. July 9, 1943, Bay of Biscay. Walker leads his second support group. He was promoted in May, hunting U-boats transiting to Atlantic patrol areas. Over 3 days, his group sinks 3 submarines, U-454, U-505, and U-243. The action is brutal. Walker's ships drop 678 depth charges. Several explode close enough to Starling that the crew suffers concussions and internal injuries from underwater shock waves. Walker himself is bleeding from his ears after one particularly close explosion. The ship's doctor orders him to sickbay. Walker refuses. He remains on the bridge for 47 consecutive hours, coordinating attacks. Lieutenant Peter Gretton, commanding HMS Duncan in Walker's group, later writes, "The captain doesn't sleep when boats are near. He doesn't eat. He exists on tea and adrenaline. He's killing himself to kill U-boats." The numbers by end of 1943 are irrefutable. Walker personally commands operations that sink 16 U-boats. Escort, trained in his aggressive hunting doctrine, account for 37 additional kills. Merchant ship losses in the North Atlantic drop from 108 ships in March 1943 to 18 ships in December 1943. February 1944. Return to the crisis. Now we understand what Walker knows as he charges toward those 7 U-boats threatening the convoy on February 21, 1944. He's validated his tactics with 2 years of combat results. His aggressive hunting doctrine is now official Royal Navy policy. The Admiralty officers who called him a cowboy are now teaching his methods at tactical schools. The 18-minute action that follows demonstrates why. Walker's Starling and 3 accompanying escorts converge on the Wolfpack from different bearings. The U-boats find themselves hunted instead of hunting. In the darkness, Walker's group sinks 2 submarines, U-264 and U-734. 3 more U-boats suffer damage, forcing them to abort patrol. The convoy loses 0 ships. Kapitän Leutnant Günther Heinecke, commanding U-264, transmits his final message. Multiple destroyers converging, They knew our positions before we achieved attack setup. This is not possible. This is... Transmission ends. Walker's tactics saved thousands of lives, but his story gets even more remarkable. Make sure you're subscribed because the ending will blow your mind. Hit that like button if you're enjoying this. By war's end, the statistics tell the story Walker's superiors refused to believe. July 9, 1944. HMS Starling, Liverpool. Captain Frederick John Walker collapses on his bridge. 6 days of continuous operations hunting U-boats off western France. Minimal sleep, no proper meals. His crew carries him to sickbay. The ship's surgeon diagnoses cerebral thrombosis, a stroke triggered by exhaustion and stress. Walker dies at 16:50 hours. He is 48 years old. His final operational statistics. Personal command of operations that sank 25 U-boats. Training of escort commanders responsible for 63 additional kills. Direct contribution to reducing merchant ship losses from 108 per month, March 1943, to fewer than 15 per month, June 1944. The Admiralty that once threatened him with court-martial gives him something rare, a funeral with full military honors. 10,000 people line Liverpool's streets as his coffin passes. Merchant sailors who sailed under his protection serve as pallbearers. One merchant captain, Thomas Woodroof of SS Empire Heritage, speaks at the memorial. Captain Walker never met most of us, never knew our names. But because of him, because he fought the way he fought, hundreds of us came home. My crew should be at the bottom of the Atlantic. We're not. We're here. Because one stubborn captain refused to accept that the way things had always been done was the way things had to be done. The production numbers tell Walker's strategic impact. From January 1942 through May 1945, Royal Navy escorts trained in aggressive hunting doctrine sank 238 U-boats in the Atlantic. Merchant ship losses during the same period, 412 vessels. A loss rate 76% lower than the 1941 to 1942 period under conventional doctrine. German naval historians later calculated that Walker's tactical revolution extended the operational life of Allied merchant fleets by approximately 18 months. The difference between Britain surviving or surrendering. Admiral Dunitz, testifying at Nuremberg, was asked what changed the Battle of the Atlantic. His answer? Better radar, more aircraft, and one British captain who understood that hunting beats defending. Walker's aggressive escort doctrine remains foundational to modern anti-submarine warfare. NATO's current convoy protection protocols use tactical principles Walker developed in 1941. The U.S. Navy's Surface Warfare Officers School teaches Walker's principles as core curriculum. Modern frigate captains hunting submarines use updated versions of his creeping attack and coordinated hunting group tactics. HMS Starling is preserved as a memorial in Liverpool. A plaque reads, "From this ship, Captain F.J. Walker, R.N., commanded operations that changed naval warfare. He proved that one officer with unconventional ideas matters more than 100 officers following failed doctrine." Walker refused every media interview during the war, declined to write memoirs, turned down lecture invitations. When asked why he didn't seek recognition, he told his first officer, The recognition is merchant sailors going home to their families. That's enough. The ultimate measure of Walker's achievement isn't the U-boats he sank. It's the ships he saved. Naval historians estimate his tactics prevented the loss of 800 to 1,000 merchant vessels, roughly 24,000 merchant sailors who lived because one captain was willing to break the rules that were killing them. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is follow orders that don't work.